As a longtime Buckeyes beat reporter, you saw Parris Campbell play. Do you have any question at all he's going to be a pretty good pro for the Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah, I do. I love Parris personally, and I think he is a rare combination of size and speed. And I wrote about that at the NFL Combine and talked with him. I mean, I can't remember the stat off the top of my head, but he was among a very rare group of guys over about a decade to run as fast as he did at the size he is. That guy is big and thick and strong and a burner. He's not some little fast guy. He's not some skinny fast guy. He is a muscular, tough, fast guy. But I don't know. I don't know that he's a pure receiver. And people. I heard one of the questions about there, at Ohio State. It took a long time for it to click for him at Ohio State. Redshirted, then he had no catches his second year as a redshirt freshman. He had like 13 catches his third year. So like after 3 years, he hadn't done much. He was a good player in year 4, second leading receiver with 40 catches. And then as a fifth-year senior, he went nuts. 90 catches, led the team in receiving yards. But he's not like a down the field pure receiver. He was a running back in high school. He's a fast guy. He's just not he's not Michael Thomas. So I actually thought he was a little overdrafted where he was picked. Terry McLaurin, like, he was a third rounder behind him in the same draft that Parris was a second rounder. Terry McLaurin is much more of a complete receiver, and it's just what he's done his whole life. Parris didn't do that his whole life. So like the person who asked that question, like, oh, well, you always succeeded at Ohio State. Was it tough last year? That's wrong. It's a mischaracterization. Parris had to work a long time to become the player that he was at Ohio State in year 5. So I know the injuries were tough for him that last year. I did not expect him to go into the NFL and light it up right away. I think it may take some time for him to adjust. And I think he's the kind of receiver that the Colts are going to have to use the right way, because I just don't think you can line him up and have him run crossing routes and deep routes and everything. He's got to get the ball on quick stuff in his hands and then get in the open field. But I actually do have questions. And again, it's not – Parris is one of the greatest guys that I've covered. The relationship those receivers had, Terry McLaurin and Johnny Dixon and Parris Campbell, tremendous guys, worked their butts off, great teammates, great leaders, great captains. But I do have questions about his NFL fit.
The Colts have come out with Frank Reich, and obviously they have Phillip Rivers, said they're going to use him in the slot more. That would seem to kind of play more with what you're talking about.
Got it. He's not an outside. So, I mean, whatever you want to do, if you want to run bubble screens and get him the ball and get him a blocker and let him go, I mean, he's the kind of guy, if he's going to catch a 90-yard pass, he's going to catch it 1 yard from the line of scrimmage and run the other 89. He's not going to catch it 40 yards down the field and run another 50. But you had to know that coming out. I mean, again, you have to understand the kind of players these guys are. And again, that was a guy who had the ball in his hands as a running back in high school. I think we're way removed from that, and guys change. But it's a little bit like with Braxton Miller. If you thought they were when Braxton Miller got drafted, if you thought you were drafted a receiver, you were wrong, man. You were drafted a really talented dude, but you had to use him the right way, and it never really happened for him in the NFL, partly because of injuries a little bit. But Braxton Miller was overdrafted in the 3rd round, and I think, if the Colts don't find the right way to use him, Braxton Miller was a tremendous football player who didn't really click as an NFL receiver. Parris Campbell's a tremendous football player. I think it's going to take some work by him and his team for it to click as an NFL receiver.